All right, welcome back to continue this discussion on the face-off now between IPOB and the military, and now being joined on the program by Agba Jalingo, who is the publisher of Cross River Watch. Jalingo, thank you very much for coming on the program. First, give me your own take on this seeming face-off now between the military and that group, IPOB.
Okay, I had said initially that quick things, I would like to point out three of them in very quick succession. And the first thing is that it is the right of indigenous people, both in our local laws and international law, to seek self-determination if at any point they so desire. And that law is sacrosanct, and nobody should stop anybody from exercising that law. The second thing I also want to point out is that those who want to activate that privilege should also do so within the bounds of acceptable practices all over the world. They should also do that within the bounds of the law. And the third thing is that if at any point these two fail to deliver as expected, it is the duty of government as a symbol of our sovereignty to enforce law and order in all parts of the country. Those are my opening shots on this matter. And then, of course, like you said, people have been talking about inversion in the Southeast. I do not see what is happening in the Southeast as an inversion of any sort. There's an escalation. There's practically no state in Nigeria. If you go to the South, for instance, yeah, where I come from, almost all the 6 states of the South, the 6 states of the South have, they're dotted. If you are traveling along the road, you see dotted with soldiers all over the place, either occasioned by kidnapping, rampant criminality, ethnic or communal crisis. All these issues have combined to cause the deployment of soldiers almost all over the country. If you go to the North Central, because of the herdsmen matter, it is still the same thing as you travel from Kaduna into Kebbi. The same thing if you move to the Northeast. So almost all over the country, you find soldiers in all. In Obudu, where I come from, our small town in Obudu, there are 50 soldiers stationed in Obudu because there was a breakdown of law and order. Kidnapping, something we never heard of in Obudu, became very common and all of that. And the government had to deploy troops, and the soldiers are there in Obudu. And anywhere you deploy soldiers, like Fela said, they leave sorrows, tears, and blood. Anywhere you deploy them, though they come to fill up a necessity, one thing that is very characteristic of them is abuses. In Obudu, we have cases, verifiable cases, and in fact, some of them reported by Cross River Watch, where if they catch these young boys, there are some specific hairstyles that they must not see you with. They must not see you with this kind of beads like the ones I'm wearing here. They must not see you with cowries. They must not see you sag your clothes and all of that. If they see you, they grab them and tax them to do frog jumps. They hold their ears and frog jump them. Some of them get whipped and all of that. So,
and you're saying this in line with some of the videos we've seen trending online, for instance, where some of the IPOB members were told to just lie on the, to roll in dirty, mud water,
yes,
so to speak.
Those actions are very, very condemnable. They are very, very condemnable. And I think that those who are responsible should fish out those officers and men in the army and deal with them as a deterrence to others. We believe and agree that they have a duty to play when the police are overwhelmed. But when they come in, they should also check against this abuse.
In this case, do you think the police has been overwhelmed in the case of IPOB and what Nnamdi Kanu has been doing?
I think so, because we have reports where a commissioner of police addressed the public and said a mob burnt down one of their vans. They killed one of their officers and a couple of other things. And then, of course, this morning again, we are hearing that they invaded the home of a DPO somewhere and burned down some things as well. It was becoming very clear. And somebody is saying that elections will not hold. Somebody is saying that I have started a security service, Biafra security service, and that we are going to wipe out the Nigerian army. No. I don't think there is any government in the world that will sit down and fold their arms. That was no longer a civil matter. Somebody is bringing together a violent militia that is beginning
because
to
we hear people say that the government was hasty in deploying the military to that place.
That is what we kept saying until some monsters mushroomed in this country and became uncontrollable cancers that the country had to battle with for 5 years. That we up till today we are still feeling their effect, because people kept saying that government was reluctant, government was this, government was that. At any point, any group of people decide to come together and have the audacity and the temerity to put themselves together and call themselves a security service, and then whoever they call their commander begin to stand and take salutes, they must be ready to face the sovereign army of that nation. It is no longer a policing matter. And I think that what the government has done is the right thing to have done. What I do not agree with are those sort of rampant abuses that we saw some men in the army perpetrating. If those videos are verified, those people should be dealt with.
What then would you say to some of those who have said, well, that Kanu would definitely have his day in court, that he's due to appear in court October October this year, that probably the government should have just waited, even though the government has said, well, this Operation Python Dance 2 is actually not to arrest Kanu anyway. But some people have said, well, why deploy the military? Why not wait until when Kanu, when Kanu appears in court, or that if it does not appear in court, then you can then move against him?
Sincerely, we don't know the sort of intelligence that the Nigerian army had to have caused them to move into, to take whatever action that they took around the precinct of Kanu's home. I sincerely do not have privilege to that sort of intelligence. But I want to say that if it is true that soldiers were moving and some people decided that
to pelt stones.
Yeah, to pelt stones at them and
that.
say they will not allow them pass. You see, when you do that to soldiers, I'm a soldier's son. You expect something in return. It is common all over the world. You don't do that even in the UK because you must expect something in return. That's the truth of the matter. I think that was wrong. And then, of course, even if I want to test your will, you say you now have an army, and I'm coming to pass by your neighborhood to test your will. It is still the duty of government to do that. And then you provoke the soldiers, you don't expect any reaction. I don't think it can happen anywhere in the world. The government has a duty to check Nnamdi Kanu's activities. If IPOB wants to agitate for a sovereign nation, it is their right, it is their duty, but that must be done within the
and what would you say also? I mean, there've been argument too that look, IPOB does not bear arms, that they've not become an armed group, so to speak. That this action is therefore unnecessary. That why not wait until they become armed? When they become an armed group, then you take action.
Well, maybe I don't know what an arm means anymore. These people, we saw them yesterday stopping vehicles with cutlasses, with cut girls, carrying all sorts of things and looking for members of one ethnic group that they supposedly accuse of whatever, I don't know. I don't know if a machete is no longer an arm. People that have the audacity to go and burn down a police van, they are not violent. That is what people kept telling us about Zakzaki. Until the day the army invaded his home and then there was exchange of gunfire between soldiers and his people. Yeah, they were doing secret military drills here and there. In fact, people told us that if you touched Zakzaki, Nigeria was going to burn down, that there was going to be war everywhere. Zakzaki has been cooling his feet somewhere. Peace has returned to Zaria. And I'm sure that government is in consultation with his group. Government deployed soldiers to Operation Crocodile Smile in the Niger Delta. People said government was creating chaos in the Niger Delta. It has not helped to address the injustices in the region, but it has helped to return peace. Because somebody knows that you are going to be intimidated by a government. There is the government somewhere, and you cannot constitute yourself to government. And Tompolo has remained in hiding since then. These are actions that government need to take and take very timely and very firmly. And then if in the course of doing this, we've discovered that there are abuses, we must rise up collectively and condemn those abuses unequivocally.
Why do you think it's so, it's difficult for us to just live in peace in this country? Because you look at what is going on now, you just begin to ask yourself, is this necessary? Or some of the kind of talks, for instance, some of the speeches you hear from some of these rallies organized by Kanu, for instance, clearly targeted at, particular tribes in this country. And then you begin to ask yourself, do we really need that? Because you have a situation where an individual is painting a picture that the problem of the people of the Southeast is caused by a particular section of the country. And we know that is clearly not true.
Did you see, Kanu is capitalizing on something. There are so many uninformed people in Nigeria. And the language he's speaking, just like Trump in America, that divisive language of hatred, is catching up very fast with a certain number of people and a certain class of people in the society who themselves are filled with hatred. So they have seen somebody that seems to be expressing their own projections. And that's why the message is catching up with those people that are following him. But this also boils down to the fact that there's a lot of injustice in Nigeria that needs to be addressed, which is not a doubt at all. There are a lot of things, there are a lot of incongruities in the way our polity is being run and in the way Nigeria is being managed, that there's a need for an urgent reversal of so many things as they are going on in Nigeria. But having said that, Kanu must realize that he cannot create an independent state by dividing the rest of us. Because the rest of us will join our hands together and fight him. If he thinks that he can divide, he can get a sovereign nation of Biafra by dividing the rest of us, then he has failed ab initio. If you want to achieve this kind of goal, you must achieve it by building consensus with bisectional and multi-sectional interest to see how you arrive at your goal. But if Kanu feels that he can only do this by dividing the rest of us, then he should know that he has failed ab initio. He's not going to go anywhere, because you cannot seek to divide others and seek to create a homeland for yourself. It is never going to happen. That is the truth of the matter. And the earlier he gets that into his head, the earlier the leaders in the Southeast caution him, the better for everybody in Nigeria.
The leaders in the Southeast have done enough to check this?
No, they haven't. They have seen Kanu suddenly as a new pawn to negotiate. All of them are happy. We forget all the speeches they make in public. They all negotiate with this young man secretly, because it's just like when Asari came out of prison. He was the biggest product in the stock market. Everybody wanted to invest in him. His noise was everywhere. His value was very high. Everybody was talking to him. Politicians from north, south, east, and west were discussing with him, because they started using him to negotiate for whatever they wanted from the center. It's the same case with Nnamdi Kanu. It's a pawn in their hands. They will use him while his popularity lasts. But I can assure Nigerians that all those singing war songs, nobody is going to fight any war. This is not going to lead us to any chaos. Government will contain what is happening in the Southeast. Peace will return. And then Nnamdi, of course, will negotiate his way and join the Nigerian elite club. He will just become one of those big men like Asari has become at the fringes of wealth and so on. And then his followers will go around with their forlorn hopes, because nothing will change until we go back to that table to discuss. That's what will happen. Nothing will. We're not going to war anywhere.
Agba Jalingo, thank you very much for coming on the program, and thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us.
God bless you, sir.
Well, that's it on the program. If you want to watch it again, it's very simple. All you just need to do is go to our website. It's www.tv360nigeria.com. You'll find this program and lots more there. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is youtube.com/TV360Nigeria. Do subscribe now to get updates on the latest happenings in the country. And of course, you can join us on Google+. That's at TV360 Nigeria. And on Facebook, it's facebook.com/TV360 online. We're also on Twitter. Our handle is at TV360 Nigeria. We thank you very much for watching. Let's just pray Nigeria remains as one. Let's pray there's peace. We don't need all these troubles. We don't need all these problems. We can do better if we stay together as one. We'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.